Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co., and this is the News and Week in Review, where I go over the news, the week, all of the things, the videos, games played, all of that stuff. This will probably be a slightly shorter video, because I am prepping for Gamma Trade Expo, and I have so many more things to do, and I have like 2 days to get it done before I need to leave. So, let's go ahead and dive straight into it. Before we do, this channel is sponsored by Allplay. If you go to allplay.com, you can find a variety of things, from playmats, to bags, to shelves, to games. In fact, my game table finally showed up. You can start seeing it in some of the various videos on the channel. This past week it's been in a few. But either way, if you go to allplay.com, you can find a variety of things to suit your gaming needs. With that said, let's go ahead and dive into news. Not a ton of interesting things, which honestly, given the past few weeks, I'm kind of grateful for. We do have a bunch of game announcements, though. We have Renegade announcing that they are doing Lords of Waterdeep reprint, so to speak. I don't think they're really changing much. It's basically a straight reprint of the Lords of Waterdeep content. We have Cyclades has a new expansion, Maelstrom. Citadels announced that they have Citadels Duo coming out, continuing the line of two-player adaptations of games. And Citadels does not feel like the kind of game that should get a two-player adaptation, but hey, I am happy to see whether they do it justice or not. We'll find out. There's also a new Lord of the Rings game announced from Office Dog, so a whole bunch of things coming out as far as the new game announcement, and a whole lot less as far as drama, which again I am grateful for. That's basically it as far as news. Basically, new games. New games are coming out. That's the only thing that's really relevant. At least the only thing is on my radar. But with that said, let's go ahead and dive into the videos of the week. Again, a short week as far as videos went. There were a lot of games covered. There were a ton of crowdfunding things that popped up, which meant a lot of games, both reviews, previews, gameplays, were going up across the channel this week, but that meant less time for some of the more general videos that are not focused on specific games. But we did have a week in review last Saturday. We also had on Wednesday a 2026 New Year's resolutions video. Basically, I did one in 2025. I decided to repeat it in 2026, going over my resolutions for myself in 2026, and we'll see how things fare out. I am making good progress in some of them. I think the thing that got the most comments was that I'm trying to learn 365 new games this year. We're 2 months into this year, and I think I'm already at over 90, so I'm actually ahead of the curve, which I have found from the past. I need to start these challenges off by being ahead of the curve, because eventually the year catches up, and if I'm not ahead, I will be behind way too fast. There also on Friday was a Where Are They Now for the month of February. This is basically going over the last year and 5 years ago of games I've covered in February and seeing how things held up over time. I also changed the format a little bit on this. We'll see. I think Where Are They Now is a series that I might always change the format a little bit, but you can watch that video and see how things fared over time. There were a lot of games covered this past week. We had Gateway. A review for Gateway went up this past Saturday. Overall, I enjoyed Gateway. I gave it a tentative 3.5 out of 5, with the caveat that I think it probably would be a 4, but I really need more content. The prototype had a limited amount of content, and I'm always hesitant. Well, I shouldn't say I'm always. In the past, I wasn't always hesitant to slightly upgrade a game's review based on my expectations of where it would land, but over time I found that I had to be more wary because sometimes changes didn't happen that I expected, so now I'm a little bit more cautious. So it was a 3.5 with the caveat that I think it's a 4, I just need to see the final content and how the cards and everything else will adapt in that final version. But I actually enjoyed it. I mean, not actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would based on reading the rules. It seemed very straightforward, and then playing it, there was a lot of intricacy to the decisions you make in this area control deck building game. Then there was Foes of Middle-earth. We had a preview and a gameplay, both sponsored content. My overall 2 cents on it is very hard because I really wanted to like Foes of Middle-earth, and I don't think it's a bad game. The problem is, functionally, it basically is utilizing the Cthulhu Death May Die, and again, sponsored content, but I do give my thoughts and opinions on sponsored content in these weekend reviews, take them for what it's worth. But I thought Foes of Middle-earth was fun. The problem is the main mechanism of it, the main structure of it, feels very reminiscent of Cthulhu Death May Die, but worse. And I love Cthulhu Death May Die, so any game that feels like it's utilizing the main beats as far as how the game operates, if you're using those beats, but you're just a worse game, I'm just going to play Cthulhu Death May Die, which is a pity because I was actually looking forward to reading the rules. I was like, oh, Cthulhu Death May Die with the Lord of the Rings IP, I'm all here for that. And again, I don't think it's a bad game, I really don't. I just think that it's Cthulhu Death May Die but worse, and that means I'd rather just play Cthulhu Death May Die, which is Foes of Middle-earth, but better. Then we had Smitten. I did a solo playthrough of Smitten and Smitten 2 from Sonar Games, as well as my thoughts and opinions. I like both of them. I don't know if either are forever games, but they're both fun, charming puzzles that I enjoy pulling out from time to time, both for cooperative and solo play. Then there was Soar. Soar from Ivy Studios. Actually, there were 2 videos that went up on Monday. It was Soar and Fractured Sky expansions. Soar was a charming little surprise. I don't know if it needs to be a keeper. Ivy Games has been doing a bunch of these, Ivy Studios has been doing a bunch of these smaller box games. I've enjoyed most of them, but I felt the need to keep very few of them because they're all good games, but I really need games to be great to hold on to them into my collection right now. Soar was very charming, very fun, like many of their recent small box games. I'm still not sure if it's I'm still not sure. Like, I really enjoyed it. If you watch the gameplay, I really enjoyed how it played out. It was a lot of fun too. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, both myself and Meg pursuing the same strategy from the get-go, and then seeing how it all unfolded. There's a point where it seemed like somebody was definitely obviously going to win, and then things swung. I enjoyed my play of Soar. I'm torn. Like, I only played it the one time, so I'm hesitant to give a rating on it. I'd say it's at least a 3.5, probably a 4, but I would need more plays of it. But even with that, I don't know if it would stick around. And then Fractured Sky, the expansions, were all solid. I enjoy Fractured Sky, but it's just the only problem is I find that when I'm pulling out a game like that, again, my go-to has always been the City of Spies Assault Drill. I really enjoy that one, and all these other Ivy Studios games that lend themselves to that mind think and the placement and the... I really just enjoy City of Spies. It's one of my favorite games in that genre. And so as much as I enjoy Fractured Sky, it's always been beaten out. Now, I did enjoy the expansions a lot. I really liked the expansions. I had a lot of fun with it. I definitely recommend it if you like... I definitely recommend the expansions if you like Fractured Sky, and I recommend the game in general. Just with the caveat that for me, I think City of Spies is still my go-to in that specific genre. Then there was a One Piece preview. One Piece, there was a preview or the gameplay? Preview went up. I think the gameplay's coming later. My biggest challenge with One Piece is that it felt way too easy. I'm 99% sure we were doing everything right because I double-checked and triple-checked, and it seems like either we just got lucky as far as things go, but it just felt like it was way too controllable. It's basically a cooperative flow. It's a standard cooperative game where you do good things, game does bad things, and you have to outpace the game doing the bad things in order to win. Except then there's a boss fight at the end kind of thing, which is a whole different story. Overall, for my own 2 cents in it is, I like One Piece. I'm not in love with One Piece, the genre, not necessarily the game. But overall for the game, the biggest challenge, like I said, is it felt way too easy. So I didn't feel challenged by it, so that holds it back. Like, the game itself, decent, charming, a solid 3.5. But because of the fact that it didn't feel like a challenge, and that just might be a prototype and balance issues, I'd probably drop it to a 3 right now because it was way too easy. There was no point in which I felt like, oh no, what am I going to do? How are we going to persevere? And again, that could be a difficulty adjustment, or just a prototype, or maybe we did something wrong, but I really, really hope not, and I don't think we did. Then there was an Ashes and Amber preview. This was sponsored content as well. I didn't play this one, so I can't give you my thoughts on it, unfortunately. There was a Legions of Kadmon gameplay. It was an interesting one. That was a 2-player gameplay, but it's not really a 2-player game, but you could functionally play it at 2 players, and it works. But overall, it was one of those things that felt a little bit prototypey, meaning it felt like that there were some elements that had to be cleaned up as far as either some rules or some of the things you can do. There were a lot of fun, satisfying moments in it, but it did feel still on the unpolished side. I'd give it a tentative rating of a 3 out of 5. Then we have Dr. Science. Dr. Science got a review on the channel. I overall enjoyed it. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I enjoyed it. It just I didn't love it necessarily. I find that when it comes to trick-taking games, certain games will click, certain games less so. And both Dr. Science, as well as Nuvitrum, because there's also a review for Nuvitrum, both of them were totally solid games that I think were totally fine, that neither one wowed me in any particular sense. They were both just good games. There's a lot of good games out there. Sometimes they really resonate with you, sometimes less so. Dr. Science was clever. The mechanism they used as a tableau building trick-taking was a tableau building... Sorry about that awkward cut over there. I had 2 heaters plugged into the same outlet and things went pop over there. I think where I left off, I was talking about Dr. Science, a tableau building trick-taking game. Again, like I said, overall, very solid. It definitely felt the cleverness of the design, while the hook of it didn't necessarily pull me in relative to other trick-taker games. Going back to Nuvitrum, which I mentioned, Nuvitrum is a deck building, asymmetric faction scenario-based game with solo and competitive play. I like the solo the most from that. I said tentatively the solo would be probably a 4 to 5, but they only had 1 solo scenario, only played the solo once. And the competitive, which is where I played more, is not what I necessarily enjoyed as much. I gave my thoughts in the review. Long story short, I think the genre is not necessarily for me to begin with, and then also I just felt the information absorption, you really have to play it a lot to get to a point where it's not like we're able to understand what's going on the battlefield at a glance and what your opponent is doing as well as what you're doing. Otherwise, I'm just focusing on my own game, and then when things happen that surprised me, they happened and surprised me. Anyways, those are the games covered. A lot of games covered this past week, which brings us to the games I've played this past week. Games I've played, as usual, this is a small smattering of the games I've played, but Wisp-Wood. Got in several new plays of Wisp-Wood, introduced it to a new person in our group, and so they wanted to play it a few times, so we played Wisp-Wood, which I'm still enjoying. I still have the same criticism I've had before, which is sometimes you lean into a strategy that incentivizes you to pursue the same strategy round after round, but also sometimes you don't have that kind of lock, in which case you have to constantly pursue how you're going to score points each round as you grow and then destroy your forest. Really enjoying Wisp-Wood still, even after my review and subsequent plays and all that. Emberleaf, haven't played Emberleaf in a few months, got a play of Emberleaf in. It is still fun. I find it's a very thinky game, but it can be really satisfying at some times and feel stuck at other times. I still think it's just a fun experience that I enjoy it. I give it a 4 out of 5. I think I stand by that rating for right now. I think I'm still at a 4 out of 5 zone. It is a very solid puzzle that has a lot of payoff to it, and then some moments where you're like, I don't know what to do next as I try to figure out the combos, the sliding cards, playing cards, and all of that. Ticket to Ride Legacy. Played Ticket to Ride Legacy with a bunch of friends. Completely finished the campaign, which is like in, I guess, 5 days, something like that. 5 days finished the campaign. We had a friend in for a few days, and that meant that we had a timer on us. So lots of late nights till like 2 a.m. playing Ticket to Ride Legacy, but it was the second time finishing the full campaign of it, and the first time doing so as a 4-player experience, which I definitely enjoyed more than the 2-player experience. Still a 5 out of 5 game for me. I would happily dive into it again 2-3 years from now when I've once again forgotten basically everything. I forgot nearly everything about the game 2 years later, so I'm hoping that in 3 or 4 years I'll have forgotten all the stuff. There's like 2 elements I remembered, and I'm not going to tell you them to not spoil it, but those will probably be the same 2 elements I remember next time. And then Path of Civilization. Path of Civilization is one of the games on my 35 games I want to play this year list. I played it. I want to play it again. I don't think it's a game I feel the need to keep, but I do enjoy it enough that I want to play it again, understanding a bit more how things filter together. Ultimately, it's just just across 9 rounds, just power up your tech and power up your cars and try to do a lot with it. I think I'd rather play Age of Civilization every single time. It's just much more clever, much more condensed, and just much more satisfying with much less game time. So I like Path of Civilization, but I think Age of Civilization is the one that I would recommend easily over it. Anyways, those are some of the games played, which brings us to today. Today we will have, going up on the channel, we'll have a review from Torchlit from Allplay, as well as a review for Honeypot, which is part of the multi-crowdfunding campaign from Flat Out Games, but Honeypot will be going up later today on the channel as well. Next week, we'll have a bunch of things. On Monday, I think I'm going to do a changes I'm making to the channel video. The problem with this video is I filmed it in like November of last year, and it's only going up now, so the changes have mostly been done at this point. Some of them less so, but the rest more so. Sometimes I do videos that just end up in the queue and then just gets bumped off by a week and by a week and by a week, and suddenly you know it's 3 months later and a video is barely relevant anymore. But that video is going to go up this week because I'm a Gamma. I'm going to make it a light week, so some things from the vault will show up. They'll also have not top 10 board game channels, but 10 board game channels I'm really enjoying. Again, not top 10 per se, but if you want to get a recommendation of a bunch of board game channels that I am currently actively enjoying, I did a video. It's something I've done in the past. I will always continue to do these. I believe in shouting out other content creators, especially when there's a few new ones on the radar that I haven't been as actively talking about, so that will go up this week as well. That's basically it, which brings us to the games on the shelf. This is a lighter week. I only did 2 instead of the usual 4, because Gamma, but I just read the rules for Tulico from Pandasaurus. It looks charming. I don't know if it's going to like wow me, but it does look like a fun little optimization puzzle. Whether it'll be a keeper or not, honestly, I'm skeptical that it will. Haven't played it yet, but the rules are read and ready to go. But we'll see. If it is, it is. And if it isn't, either way, you'll hear about it. And then we have Aetherspire from Phase Shift Games. They usually make smaller box games. This is a slightly bigger, cooperative, like 3D game. Very intrigued. Have not read the rules yet, but I hope to play this one before Gamma if I'm able to, but again, I only have 2 days and not enough time to get everything done, so we'll see how that plays out. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. I hope you have an excellent weekend, and as always, I hope you have a good one.